Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie. I have a great little project for tonight. I'm going to be using the old-fashioned transfer again with some different images, and I'm going to use them on the drop-in box frame. If you could see it up in the top left of the screen here. And then to add a little bit of extra to this, I'm going to be using another transfer called Four Textures, and they're basically four different images of different textures to get a little add a little pizzazz to the background of the old-fashioned images. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line and let me know where you're viewing from. Temperatures here are going to be heading on up into the 50s by the weekend. So it doesn't look like we're going to have a white Christmas. Santa's going to have to use his magic. So I'm going to get moving on cutting this transfer apart. I'm going to use the dots as my background. So our drop-in frame, I actually have it over here. I was painting it today, and it comes with refills, and there's 3 refills in a pack, and I've taken 2 of them out of here already, and I actually have waxed them. And they're made out of chalk suede and like a cardboard. They're thick. They're not like paper. There's a little substance to them. And I think they're perfect for this transfer. Grab my fuzzing cloth over here. And I'm kind of holding this away from the table. Let me pull this transfer off so I could fuzz it. And we'll get moving on this. I promise it's going to be a nice, quick little project. A little bit different of a spin from what I did the other day. I painted the drop-in box frame with Nominee, so it's gold, and I wanted it to look a little kind of fancy, but I think there's going to be a little bit of sarcasm here, so I think it would be a good counterpoint. We'll have to see. You let me know what you think about it. So being that I'm using chalk suede, I did wax it and gave it a very light little wax, but I am also fuzzing my transfer a bit because chalk suede is actually paper. Yes, you can chalk on paper. Just lay this down, smooth it out. Grab my small squeegee here and apply my Nominee. And I think I'm going to use this as the background for both, but I'm not sure. I thought, let me apply it with the gold. I don't want it to be too bold. And then I'll take a look and see if it flies or not. One of the great things with the drop-in box frame is that because there are inserts, it'll hold 3 of these surfaces inside of it. So you could have one showing from one side, one from the other, and then one for storage in between. And they are double-sided, so you can chalk both sides. They're a great economical way to get into chalking. And the fact that you could order new ones, like if you don't want to, if you want a little variety and change it up with the seasons or whatever, just makes it that much nicer. I need something to hold this down with. I should have had my detail tool out here, but I'm gonna do a little peel and reveal here. It's gonna be a little difficult lifting up because of the nature of it's paper and it's gonna stick. I like it. I think I'm going to do it on the other one. I wasn't quite sure. So let me move this out of the way. And yes, I'm going to reuse this without washing it. I'm going to just lay it down here. I want to make sure it's down nice and smooth with no air bubbles. It's one of my streaks from when I applied the paste. Oh, dude, I make a mess, didn't I? Yeah, not really the best thing to be pressing it down with my bare fingers, but whatever. Okay, let's get the background on this one. I don't want the dots to be exceedingly, what's the word? I don't want them to stand out. I don't want it to be extreme. I wanted it as a background, so they're pretty small. I think that this will work for what I'm going for. I'm just quickly applying this, scraping off the excess, moving my lines, putting the excess back into the jar. I really need to hold down an edge here to lift it. This is sticking pretty strongly, even though I fuzzed it quite a bit. That's one of the things to keep in mind when chalking on paper or chalk suede. You have to fuzz quite a bit to diminish the adhesive. I'm going to move this out of the way, clean my fingers first. Let the surface dry, and in the meantime, I'm going to clean the transfer. So if you're not familiar with how to clean our transfers, let me show you how easy it is to do. I'm going to lay the transfer down, spritz it with a little bit of water. I'm going to wet the transfer. Obviously, this would be easier to clean at a sink. But basically, you want to use your fingers or use a board eraser. This is a board eraser that I cut in half to actually clean the chalk paste off of the transfer. And you can see that the board eraser makes it really, really quick. And you could do this in the sink, just put it on the bottom of the sink. Make sure, though, that the back of the transfer, the sticky side, the adhesive side, is wet before you stick it down into the sink, because you don't want it sticking to the porcelain or to the stainless steel of your sink. Now I'm grabbing a disinfecting wipe. Clean the excess paste off. I'm going to flip it over and do the reverse. First, I want to remove all the chalk paste. Got one of the strings of the silk screen there. So I'm going to take off all the chalk paste, all the excess chalk paste here. And then I want to make sure, well, I want to make sure I get this clean first. But then I want to go and remove all the fuzz or the lint from my fuzzing cloth, because I want to renew the adhesive. So I just go over the sticky side in one direction, with a disinfecting wipe. You don't have to use a disinfecting wipe. You could kind of do this as it's running underneath the water and just basically massage the lint off of it. Then I'm going to put this aside to dry, sticky side up, and when it's dry, I'll put it back on the backer sheet. Just checking it out. Okay. Let me clean my surface up a little bit here. Now obviously you could use the drop-in frame with pretty much any of our A-size transfers. It's perfectly sized for that. The transfer that I'm going to use, though, is a little bit smaller than an A size, so I'm going to actually center it when I place it on this. Let me get my surface cleaned off a little bit, and we'll keep on going. So the other day, I used Whiskey Business and Cheers, Let the Evening Be Gin. Tonight, I'm going to use Please Put a Cork in It. And probably call me old-fashioned. I didn't cut these all apart, so let me do that now. Our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times or more with proper care, and you saw how very easy it was to clean the transfer. Wouldn't these be a nice little accent to your bar or drink area? Or a nice little gift for someone? I'm going to dry both of these with my drying tool and come right back. This basically is the drying tool. It looks like a heat gun, but it's not. It basically is focused air coming out of here. It doesn't get really hot. There are two different temps, like a low and a higher one. And then it has a little stand. But it's a great way to dry your project if you're a little too impatient to wait for it to dry on its own. Okay, let me get this fuzzed. I'm fuzzing a little bit extra because it's going on chalk suede, even though I waxed it. I have used chalk suede without waxing it, but then I really fuzz like crazy. Don't want it to stick too snugly where it makes it difficult to lifting it. Same with like glass or metal. You always want to fuzz a little bit extra when you're using them as a surface. Okay, and I'm going to pretty much center this. Make sure there aren't any air bubbles. My shimmer shadow. Just applying the paste. You don't really have to put any pressure per se. Just wipe it across the silk screen. Make sure you get everything covered. Remove the excess, smooth it out. back over it, make sure I've got everything covered really well. Remove the lines. Gather up the excess paste and put it back in the jar. Then it's time to peel and reveal. You know what? I lifted some of my dots, but actually I kind of like it because it basically lifted them and made the wording stand out a little bit more. Let me put this aside to dry. I'm wondering, my drying tool warmed up the chalk suede a little bit. This one's still somewhat warm, and I'm wondering if I should have, I know I should have let it cool, and I was just a little impatient, but I actually liked the way it did it, so I can't complain about that. See if I can get this one clean. I'm running out of water here. Now the darker pigmented paste may actually stain your silk screen, but that has no impact on the usability. Your transfers will still work the same as if they weren't stained. Ooh, this is really kind of a juicy disinfecting wipe, isn't it? Created a little bit of a mess here. Let me clean that up. Yeah, it did. You can see where it lifted all the dots. Kind of a happy accident there, huh? And just getting off all the chalk paste. Oh, I need to clean up my surface a little bit here. Okay, I gotta do a little cleanup here and get the fuzz off the back of this transfer. I did fuzz it quite a bit. So let me clean this up, and then we'll go on to the next one. I'm going to put the sticky side up to dry. And let's fuzz this. This is a call me old-fashioned. Remember, I'm fuzzing extra because I'm working on chalk suede. Even though I waxed it, I want to fuzz it pretty good so that it doesn't stick too snugly. Because if it sticks too snugly, it's going to pull up those dots. And it's going to be hard to lift off the surface. So when I say fuzz like crazy, this is exactly what I mean. See how quick and easy this is? And we get such beautiful definition because of the silk screen. Without any weeding, without a machine, without playing around, we just get right to the fun part. Picking up the excess here. Looks like I have everything covered. Peel and reveal. I didn't get enough up here. The top of my F looks really light. It's very thin, but it looks very, very light. Let me go back over it. Okay, this is pretty much where everything started going downhill. For some weird reason, it doesn't look like I'm getting enough definition for the thin little part of the top of the F. I've tried chalking over it, and it doesn't seem like the paste is going through, or the paste is not sticking to this chalk suede. And in retrospect, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what was going on. I waxed this, and my guess is that I did not buff enough of the wax off, and there was too thick of wax there, and the paste just was not sticking to it. I think with a little bit thicker of a font, it would have been fine, but with such a very thin line at the top of the left, the top of the F and the top of the D, it caused a little bit of an issue. So basically, I cleaned my transfer and tried again with the same results. Here I'm putting the first one, to put a cork in it, in my box frame, the drop-in box frame, so that you could see it. And then I said, let's do this again. And I took a piece of the chalk suede without waxing it, fuzzed like crazy, and I got much better results. Let me show you the end product. What do you think? Much better. I'm still not real happy with the way it looks. I think it is a little over, the dots on this one are a little bit overpowering, so maybe I should have gone with a different image. But sometimes you have to try something to see what you actually like. And with the pack of inserts, like 3 for $5, no harm, no foul, I could do it again. So in retrospect, I'm going to go back to not waxing my chalk suede. I hadn't had any issues in the past, but noticed that some other people were waxing it, and I thought I'd try it. For me, if I fuzz enough, I don't have an issue. So I think that's just what I'm going to be doing. All in all, I think this is an interesting project. I'm not real happy with the way Call Me Old Fashioned looks. I think it's a little bit too lightweight for the project. I needed something with a little bit more dramatic of an image. And maybe I'll do that on another chalk suede sheet. If you've enjoyed or learned something from this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thumbs up or likes are always also appreciated. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you soon.